There's a comedian named Hannibal Buress, and I really enjoy a lot of his stand-up. Wouldn't necessarily recommend that you go watch it, but he has a joke that Amanda and I reference a lot. He says, I hate it when people say cliche stuff like, I'm taking it one day at a time. You know who's taking it one day at a time? Everybody, because that's how time works. I am often saying this to Amanda because we'll be going through something that's difficult, and I'll be saying, you just have to live in the present. You just got to take it one day at a time. And it's funny that we spend so much of our time thinking about the future, either worrying about it or making plans, like 5-year and 10-year plans for it, or like anticipating it, being like, I can't wait for something to happen in the future. And yet no one can live anywhere except in the present. It's just kind of an interesting quirk of the way that we live. We get so used to thinking about what will happen next or looking forward to things that we oftentimes miss out on what's directly in front of us. This makes me think about two passages in the New Testament. One which deals with worry about the future, and the other which deals about grand schemes and plans. The first one comes from Luke chapter 12, verses 29 to 31, and it's where Jesus is talking about worrying about having enough for tomorrow. This is where he talks about how the birds of the air and the lilies of the field have what they need because God takes care of them. And so at the conclusion of that, he says, and do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. For the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Basically, Jesus is teaching us that God knows how to take care of us, which when you say it sounds sort of obvious, and yet it is a reminder that we need often to remember that God is watching over us, and he does take care of us. And when we are worried about things, we can be reminded to turn to him and to pray to him about those things and to expect that he will provide for us because he demonstrates that to us over and over again. The other passage is a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Cautionary about how excited we get about the future. And it comes to us from James. It says this, now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast and brag. All such boasting is evil. In this passage, James is just reminding us that we can't really control what happens tomorrow. We can make plans, we can position ourselves, we can have goals, but ultimately the future or tomorrow is God's domain. He is the one who has control over what happens to us later. And we can't do anything to change what happens then. And so it's enough for us to focus on today and to look at how we might, as Jesus says, seek out the kingdom today, how we might serve God faithfully and look to find him in what's happening today. And that's not to say that we can't make plans or have ideas about what happens tomorrow, but our focus can be on what it is that we have control over right now. We live today. We live in this moment. And so let's focus on that moment and what we can do in that, and let God take care of what will come tomorrow.